Hey guys, KOT here, trying to gather some thoughts about special team points, shorthanded points in particular, um, and see how I feel. I still think it's should be worth more than one, whether it's three, five, seven, is worth a discussion with the rest of you guys. And I'm just gonna give some of my thoughts on this. I do think that first of all, actually, we should make a league change here, which is to for people to really better see their odds of shorthanded points. We should probably put shorthanded time as a stat that like we can put stats that don't count for anything but are just there for us to use quickly as a guide. And we don't want to put too many to clog the screen, so that's why we haven't put some stuff like because in the settings we can I'm just going to show everyone in the settings we can actually put categories worth 0, and that allows us to see certain stats easier or sort players in a certain way. So we probably should put shorthanded time there so people can have a gauge of their odds of a point. But anyways, I think Barry brought up a valid point, which is like he was concerned that maybe 5 makes it seem like if one person scores one early, it ends the week. And it's very similar to what Dan brought up in a maybe private conversation where like a 3 game winning goal gap felt too large to come back from. And so we do want categories that last a while, right? That it's exciting. It's not fun if everything gets decided by Monday. But I think I started to think deeply about that. Like, when does it matter? And I think the answer is rarity. So, for example, shutouts. We're at a point where each of our goalies plays 2 games, and I think we're okay with an early shutout because it's rare. Because an early shutout, let's negate hat tricks, throw that out of the picture because they're pretty rare also. But if someone scores an early hat trick, early shutout, I only have probably 3 to 4 goalie games to get that shutout. I probably won't get it, right? They are winning that category. My odds of tying or surpassing that category is really rare, but we're okay with that because an early shutout itself is rare. And when I think about shorthanding points, I looked at how most teams score anywhere between 0 to 1 per week. So it's going to be rare that it's going to happen that someone gets it early, like first game on the Monday. And it's balanced by the fact that, unlike a shutout, you actually have better odds of scoring at least one shorthanded point yourself. In the case of a shutout, again, you're just capped by the number of games, and it's just really unlikely. And if I look back, if I analyze the league, like the average shutout that we get, the DHL teams get really close to 0 per week, whereas it was much higher, like significantly higher for a shorthanded point, whether it be like 0.5 to like 1. But there's a lot of things to think about, like, is having one early, is it you can fight back with your own? How about like power play points? Could you like overcome another team with just purely power play points versus a shorthanded point? How big of an advantage is a shorthanded point? When Barry brought it up, he was against John. John had like Sebastian Aho scored an early one, but then later on Barry scored one himself right after. He's like, okay, maybe he's not so bad. And he ended up in this week, beating him even if we take it out. So he would have 19 instead of 18. So he had enough power play points. But the thing is, I'm doing this specific example because, well, this is what spawned the discussion, but we can't look at specific examples too closely because it also depends on like the team, how good the team is as a whole in special team points. For example, because if we just look at, Gass's team, right? I think he's still last. No, he actually boosted his numbers, but he's really low. But against like these teams, right? Obviously, if we analyze the matchups against them, a shorthanded point is going to be really powerful because it might seem too powerful because they don't even have the power play points to ever overcome a shorthanded point. So that's why it's like hard for me to know like exactly how to evaluate this like fairly, right? That's my initial thought without having to deal deeply with the numbers. Another thought is like maybe focusing too much on the feel bad of an early shorthanded point versus the excitement of it allowing you to catch up. So against Derek, right, in his show, he showed I was up 10-0 heading into Sunday. And realistically, in the old system, there's just no way that he's winning this category or even tying me. But he did score an early, like what's his name, the Florida guy, Luosterainen scored an early shorthanded point, and now it's like, oh, it gives him like an avenue to sort of tie me in that category. So, that's why like I think it's not looking at the overall picture, and we're just focusing on the feel bad of like a really early 5-0 lead from someone. When here I just have 10 purely power play points probably, and then he's able to still be in the race. Like I'm like, holy crap! If he ties it, he could actually tie it. Like he has outs to tie it at least. Whereas like he's not. It's not really possible. Like his team has penalty kills probably on a Sunday versus like there's no way his teams will be on 10 power plays or something and they're going to score on each one. So these are my scattered thoughts, and I do think like having shorthanded time as a stat allows for easier for players to differentiate between players that they want. So like I'm just going to do it now secretly so that we can see what that looks like. I'm sorry for the white screen. I don't know. It just, as commission mode, it just jumps into white. I apologize for that. But if you go here, sort of shorthanded time, I'm pretty sure it had, time on ice shorthanded. So add 0, save and continue. I would go back. Okay. So you can see like how much shorthanded time I have versus, we can see, get a sense, and maybe in this player mode here helps us differentiate players more. I'm going to have to spread this out more. Yeah, right. Because shorthanded point doesn't happen enough, but this is more actionable information, right? Anyways, give me your thoughts, bros.